Hi there, my name is Aaron Yacht. I'm a lifelong homeschooler, and the picture you are looking at right now is of me with my family. I'm the tallest young man, standing second from the right. I actually used a picture of my little sister for the header on my Dollar Homeschool website. If you look at the bottom left, you can see her holding our dog. Thank you for watching this video. I'm pretty excited about it, and I think you'll find it helpful to you as a homeschool parent trying to give your children the best education possible. The reason I've made this website and the video you are watching is because I believe that one of the most important duties for us as Christians is to educate our own children, and to that end, I want to help homeschoolers as much as I can. In order to accomplish that goal, therefore, I decided I wanted to be able to supply homeschoolers with the best educational books available as inexpensively as possible. In order to find the best homeschool books, I first had to decide what requirements such a book would have to meet. This is important for you to know as a parent as well, so I'd like you to imagine with me a little about what the perfect homeschool textbook would be. Here are some requirements that I created to help narrow it down. First of all, the perfect homeschool textbook should be written from a Christian perspective. It could be the best written textbook in the world, but if its teaching is based on a faulty foundation, there are bound to be problems. Secondly, the perfect homeschool textbook should be written by the very best author on the subject. The author must be knowledgeable and an excellent teacher in his field. Thirdly, the perfect homeschool textbook should thoroughly teach its subject without educational gaps. It's best to learn something thoroughly once. Fourth, the perfect homeschool textbook should be easy to use. While homeschoolers as a rule are very dedicated to their children's education, just about anything that can make mom's life easier is better, especially for the many homeschoolers who have large families. Fifth, the perfect homeschool textbook should have a proven successful track record. This simply acts as a proof that the book meets the above requirements, and proof is a nice thing to have. And finally, sixth, the perfect homeschool book should still be inexpensive to buy. Those are a pretty tough set of requirements for any one book to meet, and it can take a lot of effort for homeschoolers to try and find books that will meet them. But here's the interesting part. An educational program filled with books meeting all of these requirements does exist, because early Americans wanted all these things in the books their children used as much as you and I do today. To meet that need, a series of books was created, the Eclectic Education Series. For about a half a century, the Eclectic Education Series stood as a staple of American education and was used by many millions of students. The Eclectic Education Series helped to create the Industrial Revolution, probably the most productive era the world has seen, and it set a standard for education that has never been equaled. We might still be using the Eclectic Education Series today if it weren't for John Dewey. As a homeschooler, you have probably heard of him. After World War II, John Dewey, the head of the Teachers College at Columbia University, launched an all-out campaign to reform education. Dewey was a humanist, a socialist, and an atheist. He saw the McGuffey readers and the entire Eclectic Education Series as threats. These books emphasize Christianity, the Bible, and the traditional values of early Americans. Dewey believed, in his own words, that the public schools should be the state-established church. Dewey viciously attacked the Eclectic Education Series as antiquated, and he was eventually able to bring about the removal from the schools. However, that is all a little beside the purpose of this video, so let's get back on topic and talk about what makes the Eclectic Education Series so great, the books themselves. The Eclectic Education Series provides a complete kindergarten through 12th grade education, with courses on reading, history, math, science, and grammar. The most famous of these series is the McGuffey Readers, after which follow Ray's Arithmetics, Norton Sciences, Pinneo's Grammars, and Thalheimer's Histories. Each of these series has unique attributes that allowed them to rise above the competition. These attributes are very interesting to homeschoolers today because of the great results they create. For example, let's look at some of these unique qualities displayed by three of the most popular series: McGuffey's Readers, Ray's Arithmetics, and Thalheimer's Histories. First, the McGuffey readers. The McGuffey readers were incredibly successful. It is estimated that at least 120 million copies of the McGuffey readers were sold between 1836 and 1960. The reason for this is that they not only meet all the requirements for the perfect textbook we laid out earlier, but that they include not just one, but hundreds of the best selections from the very best authors in the English language. These selections include short stories, passages from the Bible, selections from the poets like John Milton, and great speeches from historic orators of the past like Patrick Henry. Many students would memorize favorite passages from these books. One of the most avid students of the McGuffey series was Henry Ford. Even as an adult, Henry Ford was able to quote from the McGuffey readers at great length. Second, Ray's Arithmetics. The Ray's Arithmetics were extremely popular as well because of a unique style of teaching that gave students an extremely grounded and functional knowledge of math. This unique feature was the abundant use of story problems that gave real-world uses and applications. By doing this, Joseph Ray accomplished a couple very interesting things. First of all, he gave the child concrete reasons for learning the math so that they were never left wondering why it was they were studying math in the first place. Secondly, by giving the problems like they would be encountered in the real world, with the facts necessary to solve the problem somewhat hidden by the other data, the children were also taught the ability of first composing problems before solving them. This skill became very helpful to the child later on, when he was faced with problems that were not neatly presented on the page. Third, Thalheimer's Histories. Thalheimer's Histories is a series that I'm particularly excited about. Thalheimer developed one of the most intriguing methods of presenting history that I've ever seen. What he did was two things. First, he approached history by accepting the Bible as historically accurate and truthful. This made for very interesting reading, since it allowed him to write about important historical events as they occurred and relate them to biblical accounts. Secondly, Thalheimer decided that in order to teach a boy history, he needed to make his books interesting to read. In order to accomplish this, he copied the biblical method of presenting history. He saw that what the Bible does is to connect the history of a period with the life of an individual, like Moses, Elijah, or David, and in his books he emulated that style. This is just a small introduction to the Eclectic Education Series, but you should have got an idea of just how much thought and effort was put into designing these books.